Today we're going to be building a custom fiberglass speaker enclosure. I'm going to go over the materials you're going to need, and I'm also going to show you how to put it together. So let's go ahead and get to the materials that you're going to need for this project. First of all, obviously we need fiberglass resin. We're going to need some spreaders. We need some body filler. We're going to need some fiberglass cloth for some reinforcement. We're also going to need a couple of these cheap little chip brushes from Walmart and a couple of measuring cups from Walmart. They're pretty cheap and they're reusable. These are not though. We also need our piece of material, which is fleece. You can get the fleece pretty cheap. It doesn't cost a lot. Okay, I've made several of these a couple of different ways, but this is something I'm going to go with this and use this for the video. I had built this frame because I thought maybe if it worked out really well, then I could go ahead and kind of, just keep using the same frame. Anyways, you want to get these put on here. Now, I've used tack strips in order to hold my cloth on. We're going to go ahead and stretch the material over the frame with our rings in place, of course. Now, I had this stretched once, but I decided to make a video, so I unstretched it so I can show you how this is done. On this particular method, what I do is I go ahead and I pull it down into my tack strips and get the sides down to the tack strips, just kind of getting it held on there for the time being. Whenever you stretch this material, you want to kind of make sure that the bottom doesn't have too many wrinkles in it and stuff, but even if you do have some, it's okay, because you can actually cover that over with a little bit of the Bondo or whatever type of filler you decide to use. This frame is actually built for the MTXs that are in that box, in that other enclosure. So this box will be good for a set of MTXs as well. We're going to call that side good, and the front side looks pretty decent, so we'll call that side good. I'm tucking the excess underneath the box to save on the drippage mostly. We'll go ahead and straighten out this side and get it ready here. Like I say, you want to make sure it's nice and stretched and as minimal amount of wrinkleage at the bottom as possible. So I'm going to get all this tucked under here because everything appears to be pretty wrinkle free, and we can move on to the next step, which will be mixing the resin. So we're going to go ahead and mix us up some fiberglass resin here. Mix it up real good. So we want to get this put on the fleece and coat it really good on the outside. Just coat it real good. Don't slop it too much, but it doesn't have to be precise. This will be the first part of it. I technically should be wearing a mask, but I'm in a pretty well ventilated area, so it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it is, because you're still sucking in fumes, but but I've already got drain damage, so I'm not worried about it. Okay, that is coated. So once this is all dried and stuff, I'll show you the rest of the stuff. So, okay, for this next part, we're going to need a staple gun and some staples. And we also need our piece of base plate wood. Just a piece of wood, base plate, cut to the size that we need it. In this case, it's 28.5 by 14.25 for this particular box. Yours might be different. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this off of the frame. Now that we got the frame out, we have the rings still in place, which, like I said, I'll go around the rings, on the outside of the rings, with some more fiberglass resin to make them nice and tight in there, stay in really well with that. And while I'm at it, I'll be putting some fiberglass cloth in there, but I won't be doing any of that until I get it put on this other board. Go ahead and put this on here like this, this on here like this. What we do is we go around it and we staple it with our staple gun. Try to re-stretch. Just give it some staples all the way around. I usually space mine about 1.5 inches apart. So, okay, now we got all these staples in. We got it all tacked together. I'll take my utility knife here and cut along the bottom, just even with where the board's going to be. This will get another coat of resin around the bottom edge. It'll get one more coat around the bottom edge. And if I feel as though it needs some other places, which I can tell right now it's going to need a little more resin in a few spots over here, but it's only because I cracked it when I was pulling it off. But now we have it on the board. We have the top frame on the board. I got a little bit of work I gotta do because I messed up, but that's okay, because now you see that we're ready for the next step. Okay, now we're moving on to the next step, which is going to be fiberglassing the inside. And I've already got some pieces of fiberglass cloth already cut pretty much to the sizes that I'm going to need. Now I had to get another quart because I didn't have enough resin to do the inside as well. So always make sure you have plenty of material so you don't have to keep running back to the store or wherever it is that you're getting your supplies from. Had to get some more chip brushes too. Of course, I already knew that I was going to need more of them because Well, it's actually good. If you're going to do this a lot, then you're going to need a lot of materials on hand all the time. But if you're just making one for yourself, try to make sure you got at least 4 chip brushes. That'll get you the outside and the inside done. So what we're going to do here is, I've got 2 different pieces. I've got a large piece and a small piece. The large piece is for the back. So I'm going to go ahead and lay this in here where I'm going to want it. Okay, for this next part, what you'll want to do is make sure it's mixed up real well, like as with your resin from before. Go ahead and get it stirred up real nice, and all you're really trying to do here is strengthen up the inside. Okay, that one's done. I'm going to finish up around the outside now, what we've done down at the bottom, to stiffen that up, and then this piece at the side that I kind of messed up a little. Okay, that's the next step. That's all done. Now we're finished with the fiberglassing part, and we'll be moving on to the Bondo part of it, or the body filler part of it. Whenever this gets dried and set up, then we will be ready for the Bondo portion, or body filler portion. Okay, this project. Our fiberglass resin is dry. It's nice and solid. And now for the next step is body filler. I had to go buy a new can of body filler because my other body filler was actually, well, ruined, because body filler does have shelf life once it's open. It has shelf life. It has shelf life when it's not open. Remember that. And I went beyond the shelf life of the other stuff, so I had to go and get a new thing of Bondo, which I use Bondo, and when you use actual Bondo right, it's actually not too bad. I was kind of disappointed because the other stuff is actually way better. It's a lot thinner. It spreads much smoother. But this will work. You know, for this video, this stuff will work. So here we are. I'm going to mix this up some Bondo. You want to make sure that your temperature range for all of this is within specifications. You don't want it to be too cold, you don't want it to be too hot. I try to follow the directions on all this stuff to the very best of my abilities and knowledge. And what we want to do is we want to try to get it as smooth as possible on here, because we want as little sanding as possible. And that's the key. You want as little sanding as possible, because that just means what? It means extra work. And these things already take forever to do. They already cost a lot in time as well as actual dollars and cents. So we want to try to do them with as minimal excessive work as possible. Okay, I had a little complication with my camera, but I went ahead and I had to finish what I was doing because I didn't want to waste what I had mixed up. But what you want to do is you want to try to get this on here as smooth as possible, because less sanding, less work, quicker in time. So I'm going to go ahead and keep going. Okay, now that we have it completely bondoed, body fillered, okay, well, that's the end of this video. The next video will cover me actually finishing this. Appreciate you watching. I've got lots more videos on the way, including finishing this. This will involve me smoothing it out, fitting the subs, drilling the holes, getting a hole in the bottom for the terminal, and please be kind with your comments. I don't mind constructive criticism, but if you just being mean to be mean, then I'll just delete it anyways. So anyhow, I sure appreciate it, you watching, and be on the lookout for more videos.